Why are men who are good at fixing things often introverted and solitary? You know that guy. The laptop that died 3 hours before a deadline, and he doesn't say anything. He doesn't react. He just looks at it for a second the way a doctor looks at an x-ray, and then he starts working. No announcement. No drama. He just gets quiet and gets to work. And you're standing there, feeling useless, wondering why your first instinct was to panic while his was to kneel down and start tracing where the pipe split. Here's the other thing you notice about him. He left the party early. He's not in the group chat. He has maybe 2 people he'd call a real friend. He prefers working alone. People describe him as hard to get close to. He's not unfriendly, he's just elsewhere, in his head, in the garage, on the floor with a flashlight and a socket wrench at 9 p.m. on a Saturday. And nobody ever connects those 2 things. The fixing, the solitude. They seem unrelated. They're not. So what actually links the man who can diagnose a faulty circuit board and the man who doesn't answer his phone on weekends? What does competence with tools have to do with preferring your own company? Most people assume it's just personality. He's an introvert. He's antisocial. He was born that way, but that's not quite right, because this isn't really a personality type. It's a psychology. And once you understand where it comes from, you're going to start seeing it differently, in him, maybe in yourself. Here's what nobody tells you. The kind of focus required to fix things at that level doesn't just happen in the garage. It's on all the time. And a brain wired for deep, uninterrupted problem solving is, by definition, a brain that finds most social environments genuinely exhausting. The solitude isn't a quirk. It's a requirement. Psychologist Albert Bandura identified something in the late 1970s he called self-efficacy, which, stripped of all the academic language, is just your deep, specific belief that you are capable of handling whatever is in front of you. Not general optimism. Not confidence in some vague sense. It's the very particular feeling of, I've done hard things before. This thing in front of me is hard. I'll figure it out. Bandura found that this belief alone dramatically changes how long a person persists at a problem before they give up. People with high self-efficacy stay with it. They don't catastrophize. They don't spiral. They work. Now here's where it gets interesting. The men who develop the highest self-efficacy don't usually develop it from being told they're capable. They develop it from mastery experiences, from actually doing something hard, alone, without help, and watching it work. The first time the engine turned over. The first time the leaking pipe stopped dripping. The moment the computer came back to life and he was the only one in the room. That moment does something to a brain. It says, I don't need anyone to solve this. I just need time and quiet. And so, over years, that's what he builds his life around. Time and quiet. There's another concept worth knowing here, Julian Rotter's internal locus of control, which is the belief that your actions determine your outcomes. Not luck, not other people, not circumstances. People with a strong internal locus of control don't wait to be rescued. They don't look around the room for someone to tell them what to do. They believe in their bones that the outcome depends on what they do next. These men have some of the highest internal locus of control scores in any population study. And the cost of that wiring, because there's always a cost, is that asking for help feels genuinely wrong to them. Not difficult. Wrong. Like a structural error in their operating system. Which is why they often end up alone. Not because they don't want people around, but because needing people too much starts to feel like a vulnerability they can't afford. Picture this. It's 1984. You're 9 years old. Something in the house is broken, the lawnmower, the kitchen light, the gate hinge. And your dad either hands you the wrench and walks away, or he's not there at all. Either way, you figure it out yourself. Nobody teaches you. Nobody walks you through it step by step. You just sit with the broken thing and you look at it and you try something and it doesn't work and you try something else. And then, eventually, it works. And you're standing there alone with that feeling. That quiet, private feeling of, I did that. No one claps. Nobody makes it into a big moment. You just put the wrench back in the drawer and go inside. But something changed. Something in your nervous system filed that away as proof. Proof that you don't need anyone to solve the hard things. Proof that the gap between broken and working is a place where you, specifically, can operate. Sometimes it was a dad who was there but said, figure it out. Because he believed in you enough to let you struggle. And sometimes it was a dad who wasn't there at all, so you learned to be your own resource because there was no other option. Both pathways lead to the same place. The man in the garage, alone on a Saturday night, perfectly content. Drop a 1 in the comments if you're the kind of person who figures it out when nobody's coming to save you. I want to be honest about something here, because this video would be doing you a disservice if I didn't mention it. Not every man who fixes things is doing it from a place of strength. Some of them, and they know who they are, learned to fix things because it was the only way to earn their place. When they were useful, they were valued. When they were helpless, something went wrong. So their nervous system made a decision early on. I will never be helpless again. That's not a superpower. That's a survival strategy wearing a superpowers costume. The tell? Ask him to let someone else handle it. He can't. He's hovering. He's anxious. An unfixed problem somewhere in his environment feels like an unfixed problem inside of him. The solitude isn't peaceful. It's avoidant. He's not alone because he likes it. He's alone because people require a kind of helplessness he doesn't know how to perform. Then there's the other kind. The man who fixes things because broken things genuinely fascinate him. The gap between not working and working is one of the most interesting places in the world to him. His solitude is full, not empty. He's not hiding. He's just in the middle of something more interesting than most conversations. Both men end up in the garage, but only one of them is free there. He is the most capable person in the room and simultaneously the most invisible. He can solve the thing nobody else can solve, and then walk back out of the room and disappear into himself, and most people will only remember what got fixed, not who fixed it. He's built it that way, partly by choice, partly by default. He is deeply present in a crisis and deeply absent in a room where everything is fine. Small talk is a foreign language. But hand him a problem. A real one, something actually broken, and he's more alive than you've seen him all week. His mind finally has something to do with itself. He needs almost nothing from the people around him and is quietly devastated when nobody notices. He won't say that. He may not even fully know it. But somewhere beneath the competence, beneath the preference for working alone, there is a man who built a life of self-sufficiency partly to protect himself from the disappointment of wanting more. Somewhere along the way he stopped saying, "I don't know." Not because he stopped not knowing things, but because not knowing at some point became a liability. So he trained himself to sit with uncertainty quietly, to not voice the confusion until he'd already worked through it. And eventually the ability to just say, "I have no idea, I need help." That went somewhere he can't easily find it anymore. He didn't choose to lose that. He just practiced the opposite thing for so long that the original disappeared. But here's what grew out of all that practice. A depth of attention that most people will never develop. A tolerance for difficulty that comes from actually having sat with broken things until they weren't broken anymore. A kind of loyalty to problems and to people that is rare. Because a man who doesn't give up on a faulty engine at midnight doesn't give up on much. His silence isn't indifference. It's what focused attention actually looks like from the outside. Every time he shows up without being asked. Every time he fixes the thing before you even noticed it was broken. Every time he works through the problem alone so nobody else has to. That's not coldness. That's its own language. Most people just never learn to read it. A man like this is like a load-bearing wall. You walk past it every day and never think about it. It's not decorative. It doesn't call attention to itself. The walls that get the attention are the ones with the art on them. But take away the load-bearing wall and the whole structure shifts. He holds things, quietly, consistently, without needing you to notice. And the solitude, that's not loneliness. That's where the load-bearing work gets done. Away from the noise, in the particular silence of a man and a problem, the thing gets fixed. It always does. If any part of this hit home, if you recognize someone in it or recognized yourself, you already know why it landed. And if you want me to make part 2 and go deeper, comment 8 right now. Subscribe if you want more. I'll see you in the next one.